Hey, what's up, people? Me and Amy gotta go down to see my son and his fiance's new house. Gotta go do some running first, and there'll be a lot of driving today. Yesterday was mine and Amy's 29th wedding anniversary. 29 years. Goes by quick. I did a video with me and my wife on my channel that got taken down, talking about how we met and the changes that she has brought about in my life. Since I met her, I always say God softened my heart, and in His infinite wisdom, He sent Amy to teach me how to love again. I used to be pretty rough on women. I did not have a good teacher, but I can't use that as a cop-out, because by the time you reach a certain age, you know what's right and you know what's wrong. Just because I didn't have someone showing me the right way, you reach an age, you know the difference between right and wrong. But I was pretty doggish back in the day. And I'm not saying that with any pride at all, but it's the truth. And the truth's what matters. And the truth always comes out. I did not treat women good at all. I think Amy's the only woman I can think of that I was ever with that I was faithful to. I was a hoe like my homie Nate Dogg. I mean, I just butterfly going from flower to flower. But when I met Amy, I was kind of gypsying around all over the place, going from brother's house to brother's house, just sitting the couches, you know. And then we was renting out a lot of shotgun houses. We get 5 or 6 brothers in each shotgun house. We'd all meet up nighttime at the bar and then fan out from there. But Amy, she come over to my buddy Eric's. Eric has since died of cirrhosis of the liver. He drank himself to death. But Eric used to do tattoos, and this gal Joan, me and all the brothers knew, come by to get a tattoo. It's kind of fucked up the way I woke up that day. I come in drunk as hell the night before with this gal, and last thing I remember, we were screwing on the couch, and waking up I hear a tattoo gun going. there's Eric sitting there in the living room, tattooing this gal and her friends sitting there, and he's got this goofy laugh he used to do. He kind of laughed. He said, "It looked like you had a good night last night. My pants are fucking down around my ankles and shit." And I fucking sat up, was rubbing my eyes. The one gal knew me. The other gal, she was all blushing and shit. And I just stood up, pulled my pants up, went and got a beer. Later on that day, here come Amy and Joan. And I had never met Amy before. And I said to my homie Bobby, I said, who the fuck's that with Joan? And I used to go for the long-haired, jet black hair. Used to go for the brunettes all the time. My stepmom was blonde, and maybe that's why I didn't like blondes too much. But Amy had real short blonde hair. But there's just something different about her. Something different about her that drew me to her. And I said, "Who's that with Joan?" He said, "I don't know. She come over with Joan. Joan's getting a tat." And I said, "Well, I'm gonna see if she wants to go do something sometime." I went up and I put my best moves on her, and she shot me down. She said, I said, "You want to go do something, sometime?" And she said, "Well, no, I'm seeing somebody." And shot me down. Well, I forgot all about her. I was on to the next thing, And I don't know how much time went by, probably about 9 months to a year, and I had forgotten all about her. And then I went up in the Treasure Chest tavern, and I knew the woman that owned that bar, and I'm sitting in there. I just ordered a pitcher of beer, got off work, took a shower, got cleaned up, went up, ordered my first pitcher of beer for the night, and sitting there drinking my beer at the bar, and I heard a commotion, and I turn around, and this guy's got this gal up against the wall by her throat. And normally I stayed out of shit like that. I'm minding my own fucking business. I didn't get involved in shit like that. But I don't know. The only thing I can figure is I must have been in a bad mood that night. I don't know. But whatever reason, I got involved. I just got tunnel vision on this dude. And I snatched him up by his neck, and I had him up against the wall. My right hand around his throat, just choking. And I kept saying, "How you like it, motherfucker? How you like it?" And he was turning colors and shit. And I kept hearing somebody saying, "Please stop." But I had tunnel vision on this dude. I mean, I choked him until he went unconscious. Whenever he went unconscious, I turned to go back up to the bar to get my beer, and there's Amy standing there. And I'm like, "Oh, what's up?" And I didn't recognize her until that moment. And it was her boyfriend. But I didn't know that until after he's unconscious. And I was like, "You want to get out of here, go do something?" She said, "Yeah." So we left. And we started seeing each other. First time I ever went over to her house, she was the legal beagle, but I was a little bit older than her. I was kind of worried about what her mom and dad would say. We went by her house, and her mom and dad had left. And she goes, "You can come in if you want." And I said, "All right." I go, "You got a dog?" She goes, "Yeah." I said, "Does he bite?" And she said, "No, he ain't got no teeth." Her dog Matthew didn't have no fucking teeth. And I was like, "Well, fuck that dog, he ain't got no teeth. I I ain't too worried about them, but so we started seeing each other, and she stayed with me, just gypsying. I mean, I go wherever I was, she was, and we gypsied around for a while. I mean, I know she wasn't in it for the money, because I didn't have much money. I worked, but all the money I made working roofing and shit, that was party money, beer money. We had some scams going on, some hustles going on, but I mean, I wasn't wealthy or nothing. And so we gypsied for a while, probably about 7-8 months. And then I could tell she wasn't used to the gypsying. So I decided, well, I'll get a hotel, rent a hotel room out. And all those hotel rooms now, you get bullet holes in the walls. I mean, them hotel rooms ain't worth shit anymore, but they weren't all that great then. But then we stayed in the hotel for a while, and we were in the hotel a couple months, I guess. And I got to thinking, you know, what I'm paying fucking for this hotel room, I could get an apartment. So we got an apartment. And we were going over checking the apartment out one day, and this guy, he was coming out of Taco Bell, and he goes, "Hey, Amy, get over here." Like he was ordering her to get over there. So I walked up to him and I bitch slapped him right across his mouth. And I said, "You could say, Amy, will you come here?" And I slapped him again. "Amy, please come here." Slapped him again. And I did that a few times, and then I said, "You got it, motherfucker?" And he got it. I don't know who he was. I didn't even ask her who he was. He shut up and got the fuck out of there and left us alone. But then we were in the apartment, and the only times I've gotten violent since me and Amy got together, this is what's weird, is, you know, in that one of the places my mom had me, she kept these notes that this lady kept, and psychiatrist, psychologist, whatever the fuck she was. But it said, Mark becomes violent when he's faced with a no-win situation or when it's a convenient way to get his point across. Since me and Amy got together, the only time I have become violent is when I felt somebody was disrespecting her, or I felt, or when somebody threatened her. And I was out one night with the brothers, and I come back to the apartment, and I was like, man, it's gonna be good to get home, you know. And I walk in, and she is scared to death. And I'm like, what's wrong with you? She's like, nothing. I said, what's wrong with you? And she goes, that guy that lives next door was saying he wants to eat my cunt and all this other shit. Oh, really? He wants to eat your cunt, huh? I went out, and we're on the 3rd floor of this apartment building, right behind Taco Bell off West Main and Belleville. I went over and I'm beating on this motherfucker's door. Nobody's coming out. So I walked back in the apartment, and I told her, I said, as soon as I see that motherfucker, I'm going to deal with him. I'll be a son of a bitch. As soon as I said that, I hear somebody out on the balcony out there yelling, who the fuck's beating on my door? I went out there and just slapped that motherfucker bloody. Bounced him off of everything. The one time I slapped him, he went over, it's like his body turned, and the upper half of his body went over that top rail. So I just followed through. I grabbed him around his legs, and I had that motherfucker hanging upside down off that 3rd floor balcony. And I told him, I said, get ready to kiss the pavement, motherfucker. And I was getting ready to drop him, and I felt warm all over the front of me. And I knew what time it was. I picked my buddy Dave up so many times off the curb. He pissed on me. Motherfucker pissed. So I pulled him back over, and I just worked him over good out there on that balcony. And I don't know if he's on Social Security. I don't know what the deal was, but the motherfucker didn't come out of his apartment after that. He's kept his ass inside. People brought him groceries. I'm gonna ask my fucking old lady, you're gonna tell her you're gonna eat her cunt? And she was scared. I mean, she was really scared. Amy's been an angel. I cannot think of a more unselfish and a kinder person. I've never met anybody in my life as loving, unselfish, and kind as my wife. And there's a lot of times I sit on my hands because I don't want to get taken away from her. I love her. I love her. And I mean, she had warning signs from the gate. The day after we got married, she was going to go over to her mom's and do some laundry. I helped her load the laundry up. She left. It's funnier when she tells the story, but she gets pulled over and she tells the police officer, she said, "Sir, I just got married yesterday and I haven't changed my name and my address on my driver's license yet." And she goes, "If you want, I can show you our marriage license and everything and our marriage certificate." And he goes, "We know who you are, Mrs. Folkerding, and we know where you live." And I mean, that right the next day, she's got the cops telling her, "We know who you are and we know where you live." She reminds me of that movie. It's my favorite musical. It's called Carousel. Rodgers and Hammerstein's Carousel. And there's this guy named Billy Bigelow, and he's a hoodlum and womanizer, and he marries this gal named Julie. And Amy's just like Julie. I mean, back then there were a lot of people that were scared to death of me because I was a little crazy back then. And Amy, she never blinked. She never flinched. Her feet have always been just planted solid. And she just stood by my side through a lot of shit. Shit, at our wedding, my mom, I'll never forget it. We had the wedding at church. She was Pentecostal. So we got married in a Pentecostal church. And just get to the wedding reception after the wedding, and everybody's starting to get there, and my mom walked right up to me. She goes, "Look at me." And I looked at her, and she goes, "Look at me," because I was kind of glancing around, and I looked at her. I go, "What, Mom?" And she goes, "If you ever hurt her, I swear to God, I'll fucking kill you." My mother knew what I had in Amy. My mother was, I was amazed how well she knew me. My mother knew what I had in Amy. And she was serious as rattlesnake. Whenever she said, "You ever hurt her, I'll kill it," my mom never said nothing unless she meant it. Amy was like the daughter to my mother loved Amy. Anybody that knows my Amy, it's hard not to love Amy. I'll tell her, I'll say, "Why do you love me?" And she goes, "'Cause you love me." Anybody could love you. I tell her, I say, the devil himself could love you. Because I love you. That's easy. It don't take no work at all. She's always just loved me for who I was. And she stood by my side, I mean, without wavering. Every time in my life that I've gone through hard things, when shit got really, really rough, and I was driven to my knees, took a hard shot. Every time I look around in those times, it's always my sweet Amy standing right there. And we didn't do this intentionally, but the more I got to reading the Bible and everything else, we did it like God was intending it to be done. I'm very anti-authoritarian. I don't like being told what the fuck to do. I don't like it at all. Somebody tells me, or what I can't do. If you tell me I can't do something, I might not even really want to do it, but I'm probably gonna do it to show you that I'll do whatever the fuck I feel like doing. Amy never, not one time in 29 years, has she ever said, you have to do this or you can't do that. And that's a lot of why it worked. But at some point, my dumb ass, even my dumb ass, realized how good she was to me. And I found myself looking for the next good thing I could do for Amy. And it just went back and forth like that. And it turned into something truly beautiful. Something that I never dreamed in a million years. I never thought I'd be in a relationship like that. As a matter of fact, when me and Amy got together, I had pretty much figured there ain't no such thing as love. It's a figment, a happy marriage. It's a figment of people's imaginations. And getting back to the Bible, the Bible, it says, wives, submit to your husbands. He's the head of the household. Now, you say that to a lot of women, and the flames come up in their eyes. Submit to your husbands. He's the head of the household. That don't mean she's your slave. That don't mean you say jump and she says how high. What it means is God created man and woman for two different purposes. A man, by and large, now there's some badass bitches. I know some brawling bitches. But there's some badass bitches like a Ronda Rousey or a Layla Ali. You got some bitches that whoop shit out of some regular dudes. But by and large, the man is physically bigger and stronger. Our Creator knew exactly what he was doing when he made us. Man was created to be the warrior, the provider, the protector. That's why he's bigger and stronger. The female was created to be the loving, nurturing, compassionate part of the yin and yang. And when both people fit those roles that God intended them to fit, it can turn into a beautiful thing. I really think women do themselves a great disservice nowadays. Great disservice. Trying to dominate men. Because most men are not going to take a knee to that shit. Most men are dominant by nature. Most men ain't just going to take a knee to that. And it creates arguments and battles. My wife lets me be the man. And I love her and cherish her and treat her like a woman should be treated. Because that's the other part the Bible says. It says, husbands, love your wives like Christ loves the church, like God loves the church. So, if you're loving your wife like that, you're not going to treat her like a slave. Amy bought this couch. She never sat on it. She just liked the way it looked. Well, when she sat on it, it was like the big comfy couch. Her little feet sticking off the end, and it was uncomfortable for her. And she was always sitting on the floor. Well, subconsciously, that bothered me because I'm up here sitting on the couch and she's sitting on the floor. And I said, Amy, you need to sit on the couch. And she goes, it's not comfortable for me. I'd rather sit on the floor. To me, it was like she's a dog down here. She needs to be sitting equal with me. Because we are equals. I'm not above her. She's not above me. We are equal. And that's the way it's supposed to be. I love her with all my heart. And see, I'm somebody, I had one guy bet me. He said, I'll bet you. And Amy teases me. She says, that's why I'm still with her. My friend died years ago. He overdosed. But he bet me that the marriage wouldn't last. In his words, it wouldn't last a year. I could have collected the money on him. I didn't. 29 years and going strong. And I mean, I was a hoe. When I say a hoe, I mean I was a hoe. I just like a little butterfly. I go from flower to flower to flower, trying to tap everything. I never fucked a friend's old lady, a friend's wife. Ain't nobody can say that about me. Nobody. Now, I did in high school. I was dating this gal, Lisa. Well, I wasn't dating her. I dated her at one time, but I stopped by her house to see if she was there, and she wasn't. Her mom was there. And see, you're gonna see what a dog I am here. Her mom gave me a glass of fucking Jack Daniels, and next thing I know, I'm fucking the mother. I didn't know her husband. He was a trucker, was out on the road or some shit, but me and Lisa didn't date that long, maybe a couple weeks. But yeah, that's the only person I know of that I screwed that was with somebody. And my friends, no. I had one friend's old lady one time. He asked me to give her a ride home, and I was giving her a ride home, and she started rubbing on my leg, and I said, you better get your fucking hand off my leg. I said, before I break your fucking hand. And she kind of looked at me like I was crazy. I said, bitch, I ain't fucking with you. You're with my brother. And the crazy thing is, if I'd have turned the car around and went back and told the brother, he probably wouldn't have believed me. Because the heart believes what it wants to. But I have never, if somebody would have told me on our wedding night, you will be married to her for 29 years, and she will be the only woman that you're with, I would have laughed at him. I would have said, yeah, right, motherfucker. I would have found that hilarious. But I have not been with anybody else. And I take it to the extreme, like me and Nate Dogg. I used to take Nate's uncle shopping every month, grocery shopping, because he didn't have no wheels. I miss Uncle. I miss him bad. He died of cancer, but I took Nate and Uncle. I went over and got Nate and Uncle, and we went to the grocery store, and fucking this gal come down the fucking aisle, and oh, Lord have mercy. And I was looking too hard. And I told Nate, I said, man, I'm going to go over in the other aisle, because Uncle was taking his time trying to figure something out. And I said, I'm going to go over in the other aisle. He goes, why? I said, I'm looking too hard at that bitch. I'm looking at her too hard. I feel like I'm fucking around on my old lady. He goes, are you serious? I said, fuck yeah, I'm serious. Every time I'd hop over an aisle, here this bitch would come down the aisle. I finally went out and I sat in the car and I waited for Nate and Uncle to come out. Or I was over here one day, my brother Bobby was in the car with me. And we're coming up to a stoplight and I'm slowing down because the light's red. And he's like, dude, look at that, look at that. And I look over and I seen a fucking, like a newer Dodge. And I said, yeah, them new Dodgers are nice, and Chargers. And he says, no, dude, not that, that. And I look, and there's a gal, probably early 30s. She had a nice ass. She's a good-looking gal. But I said, Bobby, my daughter's that old. I said, and I don't really even look anymore. Me and Amy's been together so long. He goes, dude, that's not fucking normal. Well, we hung out, and then when I got back home, about an hour after I got home, Bobby called. He goes, I was thinking. I said, what, bro? He said, maybe if you really love somebody, it is normal. I said, there you go. There is not a woman alive that can pull me off of my wife. It cannot happen. The devil tried that in Nogales, Mexico. My buddy Jimmy come out from here in St. Louis, come out, and we went down to Nogales, Mexico. He wanted to go down to Mexico. And you got these guys that'll hit you up whenever they see you come across the border. Where do you want to go? What do you want to do? We end up in this strip club. And it wasn't just a strip club. It was a full nude strip club. And you could take the gals in the back room, pay money, and get laid. Well, my buddy Jimmy, he goes off in this back room, and this gal, I don't know if you ever seen the movie Weird Science, where those high school guys take magazine pictures of women, and they take bits and pieces of these magazines and cut them out, like their ideal breast, their ideal butt, their ideal this, that. They take these bits and pieces and they make their perfect woman. Kelly LeBrock was in it. Well, this gal made Kelly LeBrock look coyote ugly. She was gorgeous. Just raven, black, long fucking hair, hips perfect, ass perfect, everything perfect. If I could have took bits and pieces, that would have been her. And Jimmy had just gone back with this hooker, and she walks over and sits down on my lap and says, what do you want? I said, I'm married. And she goes, well, you still got a dick, don't you? And that pissed me off. And I said, you know I got a fucking dick, because I know you can feel it poking you in your ass right now. Because I was rock hard. I mean, I ain't gonna lie. And I said, and I ain't gonna stick it up in you and take it home and stick it up in my wife and give her whatever funky shit I got from you, you know? Oh my God, she got pissed. If she had a straight razor on her, she would have cut me up. She starts rapid fire cussing me out in Spanish. Just, it sounded like a machine gun going off. And the manager, and I swear this manager, man, he spoke real good English, like he might have lived up in America. And he told her, he said, shut the fuck up and get back to work. And she shut up and got back to work. But man, because I can remember thinking, oh my God, it's probably, as far as physical beauty goes, probably the most beautiful woman I have ever set my eyes on. And you're thinking, what the fuck is she doing working as a whore in this strip club in Nogales, Mexico, in this border town? I mean, I was saying, this gal would get any fucking man she wanted. Have 5 Cadillacs. That's why I always say that it's like the devil himself threw her together to tempt me. And I'm proud to say I passed that test. It was a temptation. Serious temptation. You know, my wife has stood by me and loved me unconditionally for 29 years. You know, a man penetrates. A woman's got to open herself up and let a man in. And what a betrayal that would be for me, to sleep with some whore down in Mexico and then go home and stick it up in my wife. I mean, what a betrayal. I could never hurt my wife like that. And I know she would never hurt me like that. Most young guys, when they're real young, they're real insecure. Always accusing their old lady of fucking around or thinking they're fucking around, and thought never crossed my mind with Amy. I trust her 100%. And that's the other reason me and Amy worked. We got an agreement. I can't stand being lied to. When somebody lies to me and I can't trust them, they're useless to me. If I can't trust somebody, I don't even want to be around you. I can't depend on you if I can't trust you. And me and Amy, we never lie to each other. She knows if she asks me anything, she might not like the answer, but she'll get an honest answer. I will not lie to her. And I've even told my brothers, if Amy asks you anything, do not ever lie to her. You ain't gonna be snitching on me, and I don't do nothing I'm worried about her finding out about anyways. Don't ever lie to Amy. And I've told all my brothers. We was over Young Bloods one night after we got back, and I said, you guys know I love you, right? And they're like, we know, brother. And I said, you know Amy comes first, don't you? And they looked at me and they said, that's the way it's supposed to be, bro. And that's the way it is. There is no human being on this planet that comes before my wife. She comes before everybody. And she has earned that. I have had no better friend, no better lover, no better. She's my soulmate. It goes way beyond physical and mental with me and Amy. It's truly a spiritual thing. I had a song written for her. They got this company called Songfinch, and you pick what genre of music you want. You pick the artist, and then you and the artist collaborate what you want the song to be about, yada, yada, yada. Hunter Sparkman was his name that did the song. But me and Amy's got copyrights on it. I played for her. She goes, that's my song. I gave it to her, I think, last year for our anniversary. But it's called You Are My Greatest Gift. See, I always say Amy's my most precious treasure. I could lose everything in the world. If I lose her, I don't even like thinking about it. I don't even like letting my mind go there. I had a video on my last YouTube of when she got she kept having bad problems with her gallbladder, and I kept trying to get her to go to the doctor. She wouldn't. And I had to rush her to the hospital, and she had to have emergency surgery on her gallbladder. And when it was all over and she was okay, I did a video, and I was crying like a baby. I was crying. It was relief, but I have never been more terrified in my life than when she had that surgery. I was scared to death. The thought of living without my wife in this world, it was bad. And to think that I've been blessed with her for 29 years. And it's turned into a really beautiful relationship. Very beautiful. And that's what I would advise anybody who wants a relationship like that. You got to love the person more than you love yourself. Women, you got to quit trying to dominate men. Most of you, it's just a front anyways. You put on for your girlfriends and shit. Ain't no man gonna tell me what to do. Fuck. Most of the bitches that I was with before I got with Amy that used to say that, fucking they're the ones who want you to grab a handful of hair and smack that ass real good while you was fucking them. It's all front. And women were a lot happier when they were being women. Stop trying to be men. But when you do it the way God intended you to do it, when you don't lie to each other, when you're honest with each other, and when you love that other person more than you love yourself, it can turn into a beautiful thing. And every marriage is going to have hard times and bad times and rough times, but it's the ones that go all in that make it, the staying power. Bible says the only reason you have a right to divorce your spouse is if they commit adultery. Amy could literally stab me in the heart. Literally stab me in the heart. And my last words to her would probably be, why? And I love you. But I'm going to get off here. I might do a little more. I'll be right back.